Okay, so this is going to be a tutorial on how to make chainmail. Just need your basic tools and supplies, and don't forget your OJ gloves. Okay, so here is just the jig that I use. That's a 3/8 rod. Some people like to make wooden jigs. I just happen to have a chair that is level and stable. Odds are you probably have something similar at home. So here, all I'm doing is I'm just feeding the wire across the rod by hand just to get it on. Once I get a few turns in it, I'm just going to clamp that, make sure it's secure and in place, add tension, and then just make the coils by hand. Once I do that, I'm just going to snip it, and be very careful when you snip it, because there's going to be a lot of tension strength within that coil, and it can lacerate your hands. So just be very careful. So once you have the coil, you're just going to have to cut off the rings. Simply just dump them in some sort of container, and just make hundreds of these rings. So to do the chainmail, you're going to have to do the 4-in-1 pattern. So you have your 4 closed ones, and you're just going to put that in an open ring. Use your pliers to twist and then pinch it shut. So this is the pattern that most people are going to be familiar with. It's the one you see on movies and TV. So the 4-in-1. So to contrast that is the copper. That's the 1 within the 4. So the name itself actually kind of implies what kind of pattern it's going to be. So for here, I'm just showing you on a larger scale what's going on. Doing the same thing, 4 closed rings within 1. So for here, you're going to want to study how the rings overlap each other. You can see the 2 top ones are overlapping the 1 within the 4, and 2 bottom ones are going underneath it. So to continue the pattern, you're just going to add another 1 and 4 right here at the bottom 2. Go underneath them. Pinch it shut. Make sure it's lined on top of them correctly. And because that is another 1 within 4, it's always going to have 4 rings connected to it. So this is the 3rd one that's being connected to it right now. So because this is a pattern, I can actually deconstruct it and just continue it down infinitely. It's just a symmetrical pattern. It's really not that tricky. Once you get the hang of it, it's really easy to do. It might seem intimidating at first, but you'll get the hang of it very quickly, and not that hard. Very simple. So once you have that, you're just going to need to make long sleeves for your chainmail armor. So again, I'm using a copper wire to show you the 1 within the 4. You add the 2 below it, and then once you have the 2 below it attached, you're going to add another 1 within the 4. And just keep doing that downstream. So typically you're going to make very long sleeves, but for the purposes right now, I just made 2 short ones to show you another technique. So this technique I'm going to show you is called stitching. It's when you have 2 sleeves and you want to make sure they're joined together. So first things first, you want to make sure the orientation of the sleeves is correct. Notice the arrows above. So they're not aligned correctly here, so we have to rotate them and orientate them so they are going in the same direction. So notice again the arrows pointing in the same direction. So to stitch them together, just put the sleeves side by side, and then all you're doing is basically adding just a 1 within the 4 between the 2 sleeves. So again, I'm just using a copper to show the 1 within the 4. So once you have that, just like all the other things that we've been doing, you just go down the line and repeat the pattern. Before you continue on each one, just make sure the one you did before is correct, so that you don't have to go back and backtrack and try and fix stuff. So you notice that on the left, the sleeve is shorter than the one on the right. It's not a problem. That happens a lot. Usually you make really long sleeves. 37 is what I made for my chest. It's annoying to count 37 times each time you make a sleeve, so you just kind of stretch them and guesstimate, and if you need to, you just add more down. Not hard, easy to do, simple, saves you time. So, side note with the tools, my dominant right hand, I use a larger plier. That's really helpful for pinching the ring shut. For the left non-dominant, I'm just using a smaller manipulative plier. So here is just a slab of chainmail, and it's going to be really important to notice the distinct and separate ways that chainmail can be spread. So you want to notice that the distance between each of the rings. So there's a right way and a wrong way of this for when it's actually hanging off of your body. You want it to hang correctly. If you do it the wrong way, it's going to give you more surface area, so you'll have to do less, but it does give it a cheesy look. And if you're really into the specifics, it'll give you less protection as well. So when making chainmail armor, the good idea is to actually just make different pieces of the armor and don't stitch them together yet. Just make them separate. The benefit of making things separate is that you can make identical and symmetrical pieces. So for the collar, barring the circular collar part in front, this is actually a symmetrical piece. So the dimensions are the same at an imaginary dividing line. So that's going to be important for when I add the front and the back slabs, because then I know that they go to the same distance, and I know that the weight distribution is also going to be equal as well. So because it is a pattern, really just good idea, just keep it simple, don't get lost in it, and just make everything symmetrical. It's going to be saving you a lot of trouble, and it's going to make your chainmail armor look nice. So that's basically it for the basics of chainmail. I'll probably do a tutorial down the line where I show how to stitch the different slabs of armor together. I'm sure there's going to be some troubleshooting there, so just watch out for that video in a few weeks. And yeah, just get your wire and start making a lot. You can't really make too many. Okay, thanks for watching.